What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. The WWE's latest talent purge, well, not surprising, has still shocked the WWE Universe due to it releasing promising and popular stars like Karrion Kross and Keith Lee. Even more shocking is the WWE's indifferent attitude towards building new stars who by all accounts should have become main eventers. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at even why diehard fans have lost all faith in WWE. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now it seems that there's been a breaking point for fans. While the WWE's recent releases aren't surprising, as we reported earlier this year more releases were expected. For instance, it's safe to say that fans weren't surprised to see Lince Dorado or Gran Metalik, and especially in light of their rumoured request for their release. What is surprising is that the WWE released fan favourites like Keith Lee, Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux, popular wrestlers who weren't even given time to succeed. These wrestlers exemplified the WWE's universe's continued frustrations with the promotion, frustrations which have pushed fans over the edge. Kross, not to mention his manager Scarlett, and Keith Lee are just the latest in some of the mystifying moves by the WWE this year. Even the most die-hard of WWE fans have been puzzled by the releases of superstars such as Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, a situation which seems to confirm that no one is safe, regardless of their popularity or their spot in the WWE hierarchy, and that canning a wrestler may be the most creative thing the WWE can come up with. Now, there are some puzzling problems, as fans' frustrations are obvious from the decline in ratings and the WWE's failure to build its ratings off successful gimmicks like the heel Roman Reigns. Things seem to boil down to two things. Number one, the WWE setting characters up to fail, and number two, Mr. McMahon's belief that only he knows what the fans like and want, even if they don't know it. First, let's look at the McMahon mindset. Now, we produced several videos examining the WWE's failures in producing interesting stars, so we won't repeat the same content in detail, but a big part of the problem is Vince McMahon's idea that he's the only person who truly understands what interests fans. That is why so many wrestlers have soared in NXT only to crash during their time on the main roster. Things reached their ultimate end when McMahon took control of NXT and rechristened it NXT 2.0, with the show focusing on young stars with big physiques. No matter how popular or successful a wrestler has been on NXT, Vince McMahon always seems to assess them and or change them to fit his own vision. But are they setting new stars up to fail? Looking at the slew of NXT stars who have fizzled on the main roster leads fans to think about the WWE is setting them up to fail. What often happens is that the WWE takes an established character and gives them a new gimmick or look. And as fans know, wrestlers have traditionally been repackaged when they begin to get stale and or capitalize on a new trend in wrestling. Far too often, however, the WWE takes characters and repackages them because they have no idea what to do with them regardless of their past success. Further complicating things is the WWE's lack of follow-up after it modifies its wrestlers. Let's look at two examples, including three wrestlers who were recently released. Exhibit A, Keith Lee. Keith Lee quickly made a name for himself in NXT, with the Limitless One's size and strength impressing fans, but his agility flooring them. Lee's appearance at the 2019 Survivor Series had fans dying to know when he would debut on the main roster, and when he debuted in 2020, it seemed like the WWE was going to push him to the moon, giving Lee a big pay-per-view win over Randy Orton at Payback. I mean, what a start. However, Lee's push stalled as the WWE couldn't seem to figure out a spot for him, despite the fans getting behind him and Lee providing impressive performances. After a lengthy absence due to a COVID-19 related illness, Lee's return was bungled as the WWE put him largely in dark matches, denying Raw a much needed main eventer. When Lee did show up, he often lost, a poor way of booking anyone. The WWE then repackaged Lee as Bearcat Lee, and while the WWE may have felt Lee needed something to jumpstart his career after a lengthy absence, they never gave him any time to get over, failing to create any significant storyline and axing him soon after. Exhibit B, Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. Standing 6'4" and weighing 265 pounds, Karrion Kross seemed like a perfect fit for the big man world of the WWE, and it seemed like he had a rocket strapped to his back. Following his 2020 signing, Kross debuted in NXT in May, and 3 months later he was crowned NXT champion. After recovering from a separated shoulder, Kross returned towards the end of 2020, showing his dominance and regaining the NXT Championship at April 2021's NXT TakeOver. Booked as a monster heel, Kross's pairing with the sultry Scarlett reminded fans of wrestling's power couples such as Randy Savage and Elizabeth, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, and even Edge and Lita. Fans were eager to see Kross debut on the main roster as they wondered how long it would take the fearsome fighter to win a world championship and who he would squash on his way to the top. Sadly, and even more sad because no one was surprised, the WWE went with its ever-reliable playbook for modifying a wrestler who needs no change. First, it had Kross lose his debut match on Raw to Jeff Hardy, a former main eventer whose role has largely been over to put over other talent. Second, the WWE seemed to split Kross and Scarlett up. Initially, fans thought the WWE might bring Scarlett in after a few weeks in order to solidify her importance in motivating Kross, but that didn't happen and fans are still baffled as to why such an important part of Kross's act was taken away. Finally, the WWE saddled Kross with a new outfit that can only be described as a leftover concept art from the classic 80s tag team Demolition. I mean, even Kross trashed his own helmet. Kross was effectively neutered, with fans having no reason to get behind a wrestler who went from dominant on NXT to docile on Raw. Even Hall of Famer Mick Foley was astonished by the WWE's handling of Kross on Raw. I think younger talent sees the way that development characters are cut or left by the wayside, or in the case of Karrion Kross, greatly watered down and even made a joke of when they debut on the main roster. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Both Lee and the duo of Karrion Kross and Scarlett demonstrate the WWE's failure to take the elements that work for the characters on NXT and keep them on the main roster. While the pre-NXT 2.0 did cater to a smaller audience than Raw and SmackDown, both Lee and Kross were successful based on the same qualifications that Vince McMahon seems to want. Both were big men who utilized power moves and had their own type of charisma. In Lee's case, he also possessed surprising agility. Add in his captivating promos and he had a Vince McMahon dream project. Likewise with Karrion Kross, whose monster heel character was perfectly balanced by the presence of Scarlett, creating a Beauty and the Beast narrative. Kross also utilized the showmanship that fans have always enjoyed in the past, otherworldly characters like The Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. So why the hell did Vince McMahon change these characters, robbing them of their appeal and repackaging them only to kick them to the curb? Well, the answer seems to be one fans have heard far too many times. Vince McMahon didn't create them, so he had to put a spin on them. When they failed to get over via the McMahon blueprint, it was clear to Vince they didn't have what it takes to succeed. Well, the WWE is treading on dangerous ground, as its continued mishandling of its stars threatens to hurt its future. While the WWE isn't going away anytime soon, the company's failure to create new stars will slowly weaken, and if not corrected, cause a decline in its audience. As AEW continues to present itself as an alternative to WWE, and based on the slew of former WWE superstars, WWE fans who once saw AEW as too alternative may see it as an improved version of WWE, the WWE will see a decline in its audience, especially the crucial 18 to 49 demographic. While the WWE is always going to be able to make money off big events like pay-per-view shows, distribution rights, and the international markets where demand outweighs supply, it risks losing more and more of its audience. Worse, the majority of the WWE's hardcore fans seem to fall in men over 50, a poor demographic for advertisers. If they continue to fail in building new stars, the 50-plus demographic will also refer to the average age of the WWE superstars. But maybe the WWE could be right. Then again, maybe Vince McMahon's legendary mind for wrestling is still intact and it's just a matter of time before Vinnie Mac's new version of NXT produces the young talent he feels will become main eventers like Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. The downside, of course, is that McMahon has invested time and money in stars like Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, Braun Strowman, and Bray Wyatt, the latter away from taking big risks with his promotion, but his decision to scrap many NXT stars and recent call-ups in favor of building new stars with NXT 2.0 could end up being his biggest failure yet, one more costly than the XFL or the WBF. But there you have it, folks. Why even diehard fans have lost faith in WWE? Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.